We're live, everyone.
Hey guys, hey.
Hello.
What is up? We are here with myself, Tom, our creative director, Matt,
Hey.
and the fantastic Mr. Bob Ewing. Let's give it up for Bob, everyone. Thanks so much for joining us today, Bob.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Excited to be here, hang out. So.
Yeah, I mean, they are always a good bunch. So let us know in the comments, guys, if you can see and hear us okay. That's always a good start.
That usually helps.
That always helps. And Bob, I would love it if you could kind of briefly share what you're going to be talking about today, and then we can dive into your pretty amazing story, to be honest.
Yeah, for sure. I think we kind of settled on just this idea of how important building healthy relationships are, and then like the power of community, just like the title says. It's no fun kind of doing this by yourself. It's always more fun to do it along with and alongside other people. So it's really kind of got to be the focus today.
Yeah, the design community is obviously incredible for that.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
I mean, it's been so integral in just my growth, and then also just the joy that I get out of like doing what I get to do for a living. Not only do I love doing that, but just the community in general has been an awesome byproduct of that. So
Awesome.
Yeah, 100%. And speaking of community, we can see a bunch of you jumping on right now. So, hey, Jarrett, Deborah, Angela, Lucia, Jackie.
Hey guys.
Daniela. The video, I think it's kind of leveling out now. Occasionally, if there's a bit of lag, don't worry too much as long as you can hear us. I know Deborah said Bob flickers a little. That's just his natural effervescence. Don't worry about that.
That's not in real life.
Perfect. So, Bob, for the people out there who don't know your backstory, it would be super interesting if you could maybe walk us through where you've got to, what you're doing now.
Yeah, man, it's kind of a windy path. I've always lived in Indiana outside of a year stint in Florida. So the Midwest has had a lot to kind of do with how I was raised. Middle class family. My mom was a high school teacher, home economics. And then my dad drove a cement mixer for 36 years and kind of supported us and put my mom through school. So that had a real kind of big impact on how, kind of how I turned out. But I grew up loving art, always drawing. At one point I convinced my parents to put white wallpaper on my room so that I could actually draw on the walls. I don't know how.
Nice.
That, but,
yeah, your drawing skills are pretty tight.
Yeah,
so,
normally when kids do that, they get in trouble. But, you're right. I'm sure it looked great.
Yeah.
Somehow I got away with it. So, but then I grew up playing, doing basically art all the time, all through high school. Always took all the art classes that I could. But then I was also really into math and like engineering and this idea of being an architect. I had an uncle that owned his own architectural firm, and I spent every summer working for him, kind of being like a CAD, like for lack of better terms, like a CAD monkey, so basically doing red lines and elevations and just kind of helping out. So I kind of was in a rare place where I kind of knew I wanted to be an architect, and I was like dead set. This is what I'm going to be. I knew where I was going to go to school. Everything worked out. I got accepted. I was there about 2.5, 3 years in. I kind of started to not enjoy it. Maybe I was enjoying school too much, and the university too much, and not the classes as much.
Yeah, that sounds familiar.
I was like a lot of 18, 20-year-olds, immature, and so I just decided I didn't want to do that anymore, and I left after 3.5 years. I think I had about 1.5 years left. It was a 5-year program, and I moved back home with my parents. And at that point, my dad was like, "Well, if you're going to be home, you're getting a job." So he got me a job at the concrete plant that he worked at. So I was like, I was basically just a grunt, just doing maintenance and anything I could. And like cement is a filthy substance. It's like a real fine powder, and it gets in everything and on you all the time. And you go home and like take a shower, and you just feel like there's like it sucks all the like moisture out of your skin. Pretty terrible.
go home and like empty your pockets out. And
Yeah,
that kind of thing.
Yeah.
The plug holes were constantly plugged up.
Oh yeah, always. So, always like blowing my nose and it's just like gray.
Man.
So, real great. But then that kind of turned into, I had some electrical background so that I started doing maintenance on like the electrical side. So, it wasn't that bad, but, after a few winters, where it gets kind of bitterly cold here in Indiana, I had an opportunity to move to Florida and just kind of change my career path and just kind of get away from Indiana for a while. So I moved down there and did trim carpentry and like window and door installation on big custom homes. Lots of work on the beach. I was working with my brother at the time that's 5 years older than me, and just kind of enjoying it. And somewhere along that line, my wife and I got together and started dating long distance. I've actually known her for pretty much my entire life. She's one of my best friend's little sisters, and we always got along and kept in contact. And I always joked that I had to move 1,000 miles away before she, would take me serious and start dating me. So we dated long distance for like 6 months, and eventually that brought me back home to Indiana. And why all that's important is because at some point I decided, I'm going to get married and I needed to find a career. Like I didn't want to just keep doing construction and stuff like that. And at some point in that time, I figured out what graphic design was. I remember when I was in high school, I got accepted to a commercial art school in Ohio, in Cincinnati, and I didn't really know what that was or what I would do with that. So I had no idea what graphic design was at all. So that wasn't even really an option. But somehow along the lines, I figured out that graphic design was a thing and decided that maybe that's what I should go back to school for. So I went to like a 2-year technical school in Indianapolis where I could work during the day and go to school at night. And that kind of led to my first internship, which turned into a real job at like a real small print shop. I was their graphic designer, which also means that you occasionally design stuff, but mostly you're just printing everyone else's stuff.
Yeah.
But that was a good experience because it allowed me to meet other designers and other creatives in Indianapolis. And then also, just like how things print and how things end up. As a designer, it's important to know what the final product is going to be. When you're designing, what the capabilities are. And then that kind of just parlayed into another agency job. And then now the current agency I work at, Element 3. I've been here for about 5 years, and I'm a senior designer. I do lots of different stuff from illustration to lettering to design to, Facebook ads and email templates and, all that fun stuff.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
I mean, that's kind of a long, like windy story, but kind of the gist of it is like, it's never too late to change directions or even like spin 180 degrees and go a completely different direction.
Yeah, I think it takes real guts to do that and just think, I'm going to do something different. I'm not quite happy with what I'm, I think a lot of people get stuck on a path that they're not happy with. So to turn that around is really good.
Yeah. And life is way too short to just spend days working at, doing something you don't enjoy. And luckily I had the support of my wife and family, who was huge in, helping me along and helping me make that decision. Definitely couldn't have done any of that on my own. So,
Bob, I'm going to embarrass myself here as well, because you've got this amazing side company that you run.
Yeah.
Where it supports a charity, I believe, for helping young people get into art and so on. Is it called Inch X Inch or Inch by Inch?
So it's inch by inch is what we call it.
I thought it might be. Yeah.
Because the X, like when you're talking about math or something like that, or dimensions, like the X can stand for by. Yeah. So that's a fun project. So one of my best friends, Drew, who we actually went to high school together and we were in art class together. He actually I've worked with him for 10 years now. I worked at my first agency job with him, and then we still work together today. And while we always work side by side, we never really had the opportunity to work together a lot. We were always working on our own clients. So we just came up with this idea of like, hey, what can we do to do something, fun together on the side that's not work related. And it kind of turned into this like idea of like a 1-inch button club. No one was like doing that, where basically this like kind of crazy idea where, you design buttons and people sign up and you ship them out every month to the members. And ultimately we decided that we didn't want to design all the buttons because I don't know if anyone would really be as interested in the buttons from us. So the idea of like gathering our friends and community together, and then the cause, like what designer do you know can't get behind like supporting youth art education? I don't know how it is
Absolutely.
where you guys are, but in the States, schools' budgets are getting cut, and art is often one of the first things to get cut, and maybe not the whole class, but like there's no supplies or anything like that. So teachers are often spending their own money to buy supplies, and they're already underpaid. So we support 2 charities, one here in Indianapolis called Art with a Heart, and one in Chicago called 826 Shy, both serving inner city underserved kids with after school and summer school programs. But the one here in Indy does like more traditional art, and the one in Chicago is like a creative writing. So it's been really awesome. We're in our 4th year to give back, and in 3 years we've donated $25,000 to those 2 charities, which is kind of
incredible.
That's really incredible.
Yeah, like I get chills, thinking about it, because it's cool. We don't take any. It's just a passion project of ours. We don't take anything from it. We just try and give as much as we possibly can. So.
I love that.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, bravo. And you've had some really cool people involved, I believe, like Aaron Draplin even was involved.
So I mean, that's the biggest thing is like we didn't do it by ourselves. Inch by Inch was built on the backs of, our sponsors. So French Paper, Mama Sauce, Busy Beaver Buttons out of Chicago that does all the buttons, Element 3, the agency that Drew and I work for, and then Real Thread. Out of Orlando that does all of our t-shirts and stuff and provides us with the opportunity to sell merch. And then all the designers, they've been more than gracious donating, their time and talent to our cause. They don't make any money off of it. They just do it as a donation. And, we send them some buttons and, some free swag of what they designed. But yeah, we've had incredible lineup, and it's not often that every time we reach out to someone or talk to someone about it, it's almost always an emphatic yes. So that's been pretty incredible to see kind of the design community, people that we look up to and admired. Some of them are friends that we've met over the years, and some people we'd never met, and we just reach out to them and then just to them to kind of get behind us and help us out. It's been amazing.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, what an awesome project.
Yeah, it really is. It really is. And it's such a caring community. It's nice to see that being used. It's good.
Yeah, it really is.
So speaking of community, I know that is the main topic today. We both love the design community. We've started our own design community as well. Designers here at Design Cuts.
Yeah.
And it's
awesome.
a space which we've both always been in, and I have always loved it. I think it's one of the most supportive communities in the world. I just love how people, big each other up and help each other out and collaborate. And I just think it's amazing. Yeah. What has your experience been in terms of community? Yeah,
I mean, I think I've been fortunate. My outlook on the design community is super positive. Very, very seldom have I had negative experiences personally from the design community. You witness some of that stuff going on. It's always a shame and kind of hard to believe. But yeah, my experience has always been positive, and it kind of was for me, it was a byproduct of when I first started lettering. I just decided to do like a daily lettering challenge forever. And where I just letter something every day. And that community was kind of a byproduct of that, that kind of came out of it, sharing that stuff on Instagram that I didn't even it wasn't something I was planning on or didn't even see coming. And next thing you know, some of the people that I met through that at conferences or on Instagram or, some of my best friends today and chat, some of my chat with daily or weekly, we share stuff and support each other. That's very cool. Yeah, it really is. I mean, you mentioned conferences there. I'm geeking out a little bit because you actually designed the Creative South logo,
which I love. The funny thing about that, it wasn't even a logo.
It was a T-shirt, right?
Yeah.
So, but it started out the first year was 2014. I just as part of going to the conference, I lettered Creative South, and then I like vectored it and posted it on Dribble. And then next thing you know, Matt Helm had reached out to me and was like, "Hey, Mike wants to talk to you about maybe getting this made into a T-shirt." And it's not the current logo. It was just, it's kind of cruddy. Here, let me pull it. I think I can pull it up.
Yeah. If you share your screen.
Yeah, hold on a second. And
it's so weird though, because I mean we were literally there in April and we were getting all these photos with the giant logo behind us.
Great. It must be.
It's
Kit seeing it up, seeing it being used, because I love seeing my design work out in print and actually out in the real world,
like all the merch and stuff. I never put two and two together because I know Ian on the podcast has mentioned you a bunch of times, and I never realized that you actually did that logo.
It's pretty surreal every time I go there, and kind of have to pinch myself because they just do. I mean, like any designer, anytime you design something and it ends up like tangible, that's like the best thing. Like when you can touch it and feel it.
Definitely. I love stuff going to print. It's just online's okay, but when it goes to print and you actually feel it and touch it in your hands and see it, it's awesome.
Yeah. So okay, hold on, almost there.
No worries.
It was a few years ago, and I'm just scrolling.
Oh, are you going back?
Oh, I guess here I can go ahead and share, and then that way it's just not me
scrolling.
Scrolling and not. Yeah, you just see me intently looking.
Really there.
You've been too prolific in posting, Bob.
Yeah.
Actually, when I went on your portfolio earlier for a refresher, it did scroll literally forever. I'd still be there now. I think that's
well, and I think part of it is like I leave that stuff there. Where is it? On purpose. Just in case someone wants to go back and look. Here it is. It's important, like, to people to see that it's not, that it took years, to kind of to learn and get to the point where I am today. And while I'm still learning, I think it's important for people to see kind of the cruddy stuff that you designed in the past. So yeah, this was what I originally designed this, and I vectored it. And Mike was like, "Hey, we're gonna put this on a T-shirt. You okay with that?" I was like, "Yeah." And he's like, "It's gonna be a brown T-shirt with gold print." He's like, "But it's gonna be cool." And I was like, "That sounds terrible." I was like, "No one is gonna buy a brown T-shirt with like a metallic gold print on it." And I think they printed like 20 or 30 of them. They sold all of them. And then the next year, he was like, "Hey, you want to do another T-shirt?" So I was like, "Yeah." So I did this. And the cool thing about this is it's actually the only like formal training I've had with lettering. We used to run a workshop series here at Element 3 called Few Sessions. And the very first one we had was Ken Barber. So we brought him in, and I actually made this. It was like right before Creative South and the artwork was due. And so I actually designed this or drew it in his workshop.
Awesome.
Yeah. So here's like some of the like process from that.
Cool.
So originally it was just a T-shirt, and we did two colors. So like monochromatic, like one orange and one green, and it seemed to be people loved them. And then the next year, I was talking to Mike Jones, who, if you don't know about Creative South, he started it. Incredible human being.
we were hanging out with him.
Yeah, love Mike.
I
tried to pick him up off the ground at the bridge party.
I think Tom's a bit shorter ever since he did that, actually, quite considerably shorter.
He was like challenging people too. So I was like, okay, because I'd had a few drinks and bad idea.
Yeah, and he was like, "Hey, by the way, we're going to use this as a new logo. I hope you don't care." And I was like, "No," I was like, "I don't care at all. I think that's incredible." I was like, I designed it for you guys.
That's fantastic.
While I was designing it, there was like, some thought that went into it. So like just how like tight and close the letters are, like it was awesome that I had a year of experience of Creative South, because then when I was designing this, I knew kind of like what I wanted it to convey. So that's why like the letters are a little chunkier, which is kind of like a style that I enjoy because it's the South, and and everyone is,
It's
it's
warm
just a
and
little
welcoming and
fuller, and everything is
Yeah,
tight
yeah.
and close knit and
nice.
just kind of fits
It,
in.
it, it does
closely
says
together.
Creative South. It really does. Yeah,
it
So-
it
does.
really does. Yeah.
Like it's one of the most effective type-based logos I've seen. I think,
me
and
too.
literally when we
Definitely.
were there, we were having this conversation about how much we liked it and kind of analyzing it
Yeah,
when we were there. So,
Yeah.
I appreciate
it's really
that
nice.
a lot.
And
So,
Mike's like the nicest guy, right?
he is. He's the best. So
He's amazing.
anytime Mike asks something, I'm just like, yeah, let's make it happen. So
Yeah.
Awesome. So what tips would you give? Because I know we talk to a lot of creatives who they're very passionate, but some of them perhaps feel a bit more on the introverted side.
Right.
And so they don't put themselves out there so much. They don't make some of these amazing connections which lead to serendipity and all these great things happening and doors being opened. Like, what would your advice be for them?
And I'm
Yeah.
going to listen to this as well because I am one of those designers that I have to actually force myself. I hide behind my monitor at all times. And freak out.
yeah, I mean, just as a human being, even not even as a designer, you have to get out and be, around people and be with people. I'm fortunate in that I am an extrovert, so I thrive on being around other people. I like being the center of attention, as my my wife has pointed out multiple times, which is fun because like I see my my kids, my daughter's like she's so much like me. And my wife, but there's some of it like she loves being.
Mine's like me. I've cloned myself. Yeah.
I love
So-
the self-awareness there. SJ, can we change the title of this hangout to the Bob Show just to appease this,
Yeah,
please?
that's it from now on. Yeah.
So it's important to make those opportunities to get out and be around other people. As designers, it's so easy because we have a shared passion in what we do. So going to like AIGA events or local events where you're around other designers and just talking with people and just getting to know them, it's super important. I mean, I'm a Christian, and my faith has a lot to do with how I live my life. And I mean, I believe that we were put on this earth to be in relationship with other people. Where people aren't meant to be here by ourselves. We kind of thrive and learn and grieve and celebrate with other people, and that's how it is. So I think it's super important.
Yeah,
Cool. Definitely.
100% agree. And
Yeah.
I think it's one of those where the more you start doing it, the more you understand the benefit.
Yeah.
And so even that toe in the water of the first little conference or event, like we came back from, for example, Creative South this year, and straight away it's like, oh man, didn't fully know what to expect, but we're already want to go again.
Yeah.
And we want to do
I
more
want to
stuff
go
like
again.
that.
Yeah. And it inspires us to do things like that, more in the community, more for the community. And it just goes round and round, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's just
Yeah.
fun, right? It's
Yeah,
nice.
I mean,
yeah.
if you're an introvert, the Creative South is probably one of the best conferences to go
Yeah.
to because
It was great for me. Really good.
Yeah.
I was just blown away. So friendly, so lovely. Everyone's just great. Really interesting. Just what a great time.
it's fantastic.
Awesome. It really is.
Like you say, being able to geek out that much as well.
Definitely.
Anytime you get a bunch of designers together, let's say it's in like a hotel or something like that. If you get anyone who's not a designer, like one of the hotel staff walking past, they just look at you like, what on earth are you talking about?
Yeah.
Having some deep, engaged, geek out conversation over like
Absolutely.
vectors.
I had like a 1 hour branding conversation with one of the speakers who like runs his own branding agency, and I used to run a small branding agency as well, which I think many people would be like. But I was just in my element. I'm like, this is brilliant. Really?
Yeah.
Really? I'm like, fantastic.
Yeah, it's great because we just kind of take over the city too.
Yeah.
And you can't really go anywhere without running into other, attendees. It's always funny because we'll be out and then it'll be late and we'll be like, all right, let's head back. And then sure enough, you always spend like an hour or an hour and a half in the lobby of the hotel because people are hanging out and you're just having conversations and you're exhausted by the end of it. Even as an extrovert, you get exhausted.
We were tired
being around people. But
we were.
Yeah.
It's good.
Though.
Yeah, it's I remember a couple of designers trying to have a serious conversation with me by the elevator, and it was very late. It was like the final night, and shall we say I'd had a few margaritas at that point.
Yeah.
And so it's like you're practically like
two.
slumping down the wall. It's like
Yeah.
I really appreciate the chat, but you
Yeah.
can see Taylor in the chat. Bob. You got love in the comments.
Hello, Taylor.
Cool. So what would your tips be for people who are a little bit earlier? Like, I absolutely agree. Put yourself out there, go to some live events, but not just from a community perspective, but from a career perspective, for the people who are in that early stage, a bit more junior, and they're looking to break out.
Yeah, because I feel like, you've really got a design style. It's a really strong design style, I feel, and you've really like carved a niche for yourself. So,
and in fact, Bob, are you comfortable to share your screen while we chat through that, just so people can see your work at the same time?
Because I love the style. It's really illustrative, really strong, really powerful.
Let's see. We'll just stick here. This is probably a good smattering of me. Instagram is, but so the question was tips on
just how to progress career-wise and break out when you're in those early phases. Did you share, by the way? It doesn't.
Oh, sorry. I guess I did. I'm sharing, but it's not share.
It's right. You're building suspense.
Yeah. There we go.
So I think it's important to find a mentor, find someone that maybe has been in it a little bit longer than you, and ask questions, ask for help. I think that's the biggest thing is we don't have to do this alone. There's so many people around us out there. Oftentimes people will reach out and ask a question. I always try and answer those as best as I can. But yeah, just I think having a mentor and just finding people that you can share what's going on or what you're having troubles with. I share, you guys know Mark Canesso. He's an amazing, let's see, this is some of his work. We run this Letter Farm account together. Anything that's like crazy is his work.
How many side hustles have you got, Bob?
A few.
You're giving Scotty Russell a run for his money right now.
So this one's just for fun. But he has this like crazy illustrative style. Like this, this stuff is incredible. But he's become someone I met just on Instagram, and we share work all the time. Probably more me sharing work, having him critique it than him sharing work with me. But just always, getting help, asking for help. Super important. And
Bob, you mentioned about finding a mentor.
Yeah.
You also said at the start how you listened to the Honest Designers show. And now whenever I ask someone to dig deeper into a point, I think of Ian, because whenever we're on the podcast, he's always the one to say, but I literally need the specifics. I need you to explain how that works. So, some people might feel intimidated, or if they reach out to a bigger name, they're going to be busy. They might not have time. Like, how would you advise someone goes about finding a good mentor?
Yeah, I mean, if that's tough, because sometimes in some instance, like it almost has to happen naturally. I feel like people that have, invested in me, it's just kind of been a natural relationship progression.
I guess it is back to getting yourself out there again and meeting people.
It really does. And I think it's important, not to do that. But it's okay to reach out to someone. I used to send stuff to Ken Barber before I met him, and Ryan Hamrick, and just ask them to critique my work when they had a chance. And it's important to know that like you can't send them something and expect them to reply the same day. That's typically not feasible. You need to give them enough time to reply. And I was lucky enough that both of them did reply. And if you do that, it's important to be explicit on what kind of feedback you're looking for. Because sometimes when you don't know someone, you don't know how they're going to take feedback. So some people will hold back and not be as forthcoming with their feedback. So it's important for them to be, to tell them to be as honest and as blatant as possible on how you can make something better.
I know when people ask me for feedback, I normally have a caveat, and I'm like, how honest do you want me to be?
Yeah,
right. Exactly.
Hang on a minute. You do that to me as well.
Yeah. And
I love this shirt. What can I say?
Oh, thanks, Tom.
And it's important to learn how to take feedback. and criticism.
Yeah, definitely. It's as a designer, it's difficult, right? When you pour your heart and soul into a bit of design work, asking for feedback and then getting that feedback can be quite difficult.
Yeah, it's we're designers. We're passionate. We put there's emotion and feeling that goes into what the stuff we do.
Definitely.
But you have to kind of separate yourself from that and realize that the person giving you feedback or criticism, if it's constructive, and if you're asking for it, and even that you have to kind of remove the feeling from that and just kind of take it for what it's worth. So.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, very wise.
We've done this on a few recent calls, but if everyone watching live, use the chat and leave an emoji with how you honestly feel about getting constructive feedback. So just share with us in the chat. I know I've got mixed feelings. I know, Matt, as you say, you don't always love it.
I don't always love it, and it's my job.
That's the face I was thinking. Yeah, that's
It's literally my job to give feedback to people about their design work, and sometimes it's the worst job in the world because every designer takes that feedback differently. So you've really got to gauge how to give that feedback and the best way for each designer. It's quite
I mean, I'll be the first to admit that even here at work, which is probably the place I get the most feedback on design stuff, there's sometimes where I'll be quick, to defend what I'm doing instead of just listening. So I think, when it comes to feedback, you just have to be open and you need to listen and think about what the person's saying and why they're saying it, because they have more of an objective view than you do, instead of just responding immediately. So.
I mean, I always say to people, if I might be sort of critiquing your work and helping you with your work, but I always need that same eye as well. It doesn't matter how many years of experience you've got, you need somebody else's eye over your design work, and you need some feedback as well to move it forward quickly. So we're all in the same boat, really.
Yeah, I mean, it's important to remember that, we're learning each day, that you're never too old or too far into your career to learn something new.
Absolutely.
I'm loving some of the emojis, by the way. Like the ghost scream emoji. I mean, Damon had the poo emoji as well.
Always a favorite.
Yeah.
Glad to see that make an appearance.
Yeah.
Bob, so I don't want to put you.
Feedback anyway.
I don't want to put you on the spot or anyone else.
I'm on the spot. That's why.
You're live, Bob.
It's too late.
This is the Bob show. Over to you, Bob. Would you be willing, if we do this with you, if someone's brave enough to leave like their Instagram in the comments where we gave some feedback now, would you be willing to do that?
Sure. It'd be better if it's, like a single piece instead of, if someone has something and they send over a piece that they're working on or something that they're, actually looking for feedback. We could do that for sure.
Awesome. So I don't know if anyone's going to be brave enough, but I promise we will be very constructive. And you've got 3 experienced people here who would love to help you make your work better. So if you've got an Instagram piece or a Dribble piece or Behance piece, just put in the chat the URL to that specific piece. And we would love to take a look through. And this has never happened, guys. You get a critique from Bob Ewing and Matt and myself.
Here we go.
And this is where it's crickets because
everyone just many years of experience.
We got our first one. We got our first one. Okay. Do you mind, Bob? Would you mind opening it and sharing your screen again, if that's okay? Just so we can keep an eye on it.
No problem.
Thank you. This is where it's going to be like deeply inappropriate image.
Yeah, we're like, whoa, quick, close it down.
I clicked on this. I wonder if Miguel has an image of it that's the full piece. Maybe it's here. Oh, here we go. Perfect.
Nice. Okay.
Oh, nice.
Bob, do you want to take it away? Because you are the lettering expert here.
Yeah, this is looking great. I actually did a version of this. This is for the Good Type Challenge, which is awesome. Love Good Type and Brooke. They do an awesome job of promoting our community. This looks great. The balance is good. The thicks, it's consistent. The one area that kind of sticks out to me that seems a little unsolved is this kind of the Y and the S kind of running into each other, just from because nothing else really does that in the overall piece. Overlaps like that. You have kind of the upstroke O, and you're getting a shadow. But it's almost like the S could be a little smaller. It could be like a lowercase s, and just bring down the whole size of that.
Yeah.
The other thing, and obviously this is just coming, like I'm nitpicking here. This is a great piece, but a lot of times that's what, when it comes to critique, that's what you're looking for to, how do you push it, over the edge to make it better. Some of these, like this flourish and this flourish, seem somewhat different than these terminals, like how these end. So I would look at
in terms of style.
Yeah, I would look to for consistency and style, and even the S feels a little out of place. To bringing some of this kind of ending, or terminal right, to these two.
Yeah, I totally agree. And,
I agree with that.
I think Ian was talking about this recently, but where your thicks and your thin points of the letters are consistent in terms of sizing.
Because for me, the W's just drawing my eye quite a bit on the O, when it just looks a bit disparate from the other letters. I think whenever I'm looking at typography, my eye is instantly drawn to any letters which are just a bit disparate, which don't feel like they belong quite as much with the others.
Right. Well, and the W should technically should probably be a little wider. It's just based on the Y and the U and the N. It feels a little like it's a little squeezed in there, so it could get wider and get a little more room. And you can actually get that from this O has the counter space, and this O seems more than what you're getting in some of these other letters. A lot of times when you're looking for consistency, that's the kind of things I'm looking at is, how does this match what I have going on with some of this? Like maybe this upstroke of the O is too thin. Maybe it gets a little thicker.
I know when we're helping to develop fonts here, that's one of the things we do is we will just look through all the letters and just pick out anywhere they just don't feel quite, there's a bit of disparate in terms of style, and just push it back to the designer.
Yeah.
And
it's really good.
For me, the cross on the T is drawing the eye in the wrong way.
Yeah.
So
the W and the T for me are really just, I'm bouncing between those two visually.
Right. Yeah. And it could just be that maybe there's a little more space in between your and style that gives you more room for the S. And the T gets a little taller, and maybe the crossbar and the T is used to fill in
all the way through that crossbar. That's just a little cut into it rather than going all the way through.
Because that cut through, that's the only thing I can look at.
Because everything else is, I think that would just help hold that T together better.
Yeah.
Oh, there
but
you go.
Again, we're being super picky. It looks great, but
and that's the kind of feedback you want is how, because if you don't know, it's one of the things I've learned over the years, especially with lettering. If you don't know what you're looking for, you don't know what you don't know, basically.
Absolutely. And it's really difficult when you've been looking at, I think, a bit of design work for a long time to subjectively look at it. You've got to keep going back, and a day later you come back and you make a little tweak. It's so much easier to show it to someone else because you're like, oh yeah, sure, it's this, and this, and you're like, wow, why didn't I see that? Well, you didn't see it, I think, because you've been looking at it for days.
Right. Well, and that's the other thing. We look at these things on our screen and we're so close to it. Where was this? This. Obviously, this is it makes a nice photo, but I actually print my lettering out, and I use a red or a pen and I mark it up and actually draw on top of it that way. Then I can do that and it sits in front of me, while I'm making those edits.
Nice.
So I think it's super important to print it off and get it off the screen.
Absolutely.
Tape it on the wall, stand back away from it, see how it looks from a distance. All those things.
That's really excellent advice. Yeah.
And you can see in the comments, Bob, Miguel puts, thanks so much, exactly the type of feedback I was looking for.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you,
When
Miguel.
we're looking at our own pieces, it's hard to find these small things.
Yeah, totally, man.
Completely agree. And also, there's nothing worse. We've all experienced it when we put something out on social media and say, can I get feedback? And everyone just goes, great job.
Yeah.
And it's that's helped me make it better.
No.
It's funny because that's what Dribble used to be I remember their tagline used to be what am I working? It's what are you working on? Something that used to be a place for design feedback. Obviously, it's turned in more to a social network, if you will, for designers. So that it's tough to get actual feedback on.
Yeah.
It's it's much better if you know have someone that you trust that you can reach out to, or just try and solicit feedback from someone that you know does what you're what you're trying to get done.
Bob, would you be happy to do another one if anyone else? Because that was fun. Sure. So Jarrett said future live critiques like this for logo design would be incredible. Are you a logo designer, Jarrett? Because if you are, feel free to share, and we'll give you one right now. But I agree. That was incredibly specific, actionable feedback, and that's what feedback should be, right? Not just something that's really vague and fluffy.
Right. Yeah.
Right. In the comments, be brave.
Yeah.
No more. Okay. Jarrett's going to line something up. Yeah. No more scream emojis. We've got to put ourselves out there, right? Take Bob's advice.
You got to be courageous.
Cool. So for everyone watching, you will see a shiny green button has appeared below the video. And I highly, highly recommend that you go check out Bob's Instagram and give him a follow and send him a DM. Show him some love.
Thank you.
I can see a couple of questions have come in as well. So, okay, Deborah says, how do you deal with people who give a critique when you did not ask for one? That's a pretty good question, actually.
Yeah, that is a good question. Unsolicited critiques.
Everyone loves those.
Always fun.
Just want to say everyone's a critic.
Yeah.
I will read read all the comments like most people do, but you gotta put it away. You just gotta try not to pay attention to it. Because there's people out there that literally will just try and tear people down. Yeah. And if it's unsolicited and it's an actual critique, then take it for what it's worth, especially if it's someone that is doing what you're doing and knows what they're talking about, for what it's worth. But you just kind of have to ignore the haters, because they're out there, and people love to hate on social media and on the internet, and it's a shame, especially when you see other designers doing it to other designers, because we have a rough enough go as it is on our own. We're putting this work out there. We're trying to get the client's vision, adding their critique and their feedback into it. That it's not design isn't it's not artwork. It's not just me. There's a difference between me just making something that seems like design, but it's technically artwork because I'm just making it for myself. Yeah. But design is for somebody. It's for a client. There's guardrails there. There's conversations that are had that people aren't privy to. No. So they can, it's easy for them to chime in. And say something, but they don't have any idea what you went to.
No. The client might say, make the logo bigger, or
So that's always just something to think about. Like there's enough hate in the world. We don't need any of that piling on. So
agreed. Jarrett, let us know how you're doing as well on the logo front. I would love to look at a logo critique. Me too. We've done web design critiques and a bunch of them on this series, and they've always been fun, but never a logo one. So
no, close to my heart, definitely.
Absolutely. There was a question as well about the best course to learn digital design. I guess your background is more on the lettering side and illustration side. So are there any resources that you found especially helpful, Bob?
Yeah, actually my background is in graphic design. That's how it all started. And then the lettering, then it was lettering. And then the lettering gave me the confidence to basically illustrate, because I was drawing again. So it kind of gave me the confidence to call myself an illustrator. And I actually lettering is illustration, it's just drawing words instead of people. But so the best place of resources. There's so many now. Skillshare.
Building suspense, apparently.
Skillshare is always good. I feel like YouTube is, there's, you have to kind of sift through and make sure it's valid. There's lots of bad resources out there too. But just look on the internet. There's so many opportunities now that weren't available even 4 or 5 years ago. So
completely. Yeah. And I'd imagine probably your first thought, Bob, was that Design Cut's YouTube channel being
yes, that was I mentioned that, didn't I? I might have cut out. For a second.
I think you did. Yeah, definitely.
So it was this glitch when I saw. When I first started talking.
Cool. So Jarrett just shared his Instagram piece. Are you able to share the screen again, please, Bob? Would be amazing. This is fun, by the way. I always like looking at work.
Yeah. So this is for a new church in Austin.
Oh, nice.
Check it out.
Awesome.
Ooh.
Nice.
Yeah. So some of this is hard to do because of the lack of context.
Yeah, it is.
Jared, feel free to give as much context as you can in the chat, and we'll read it out. And that will help.
Because obviously, I mean, logo design, brand design is always focused around the audience, right?
Yes.
So, you've got to get a really good idea of who the audience are, so that you can reach them with your design work and resonate with them. So any kind of background towards the audience would really help.
Yeah.
But
for me, the one thing that sticks out right away, and like the mono weight icon is great. I feel like the spacing is consistent. There's no like big holes, that kind of draw your eye in. So you have a good balance of line and negative space. But I feel like the proportions of the whole thing are off a little bit. Like the Moon Tower word seems so much larger than, even church and the icon. I feel like even if church doesn't get bigger, maybe you track it out some. So it takes up a little more space. And then I think the icon could get, 200% bigger or something like that. Like, I feel like it could be better, like a little more balance in between the two. What do you guys think?
I think I like it, but where you like something, but you feel like there's something very slightly off or missing that prevents it from being perfect. And so normally, like when I've done this kind of work, I feel like this is where I'm at like 95% of the way through the process. And then it just kind of clicks into place with that final last tweak. And then I'm like, now it all kind of,
right.
For me, I think the logo element might be more successful than the logo type element. So the Moon Tower text and church text feel like they might just be fighting a little bit with each other. I might just look at some alternatives that go better with the logo, with the actual illustrative logo. And also look at placement, as you said, Bob, placement and size of the logo with the logo type itself.
Yeah. I feel like the mark itself is a great mark.
Mark's great. Yeah.
You could maybe it is kind of vertical. It's kind of tall. So you may look at maybe making it a little wider. So it is a little more like closer to a square. Just being that like everything gets locked up in a square or circle these days. Because of social media. And also it's important to look at like not just this variation, but like what does it look like completely horizontal, and look at all the lockups together when especially when you're comparing, like trying to figure out what typeface to use.
And I worry as well how it might scale. In terms of the icon being quite complex. I saw a comment from Troy as well saying, if I may, there's a strange dichotomy happening with the monoline iconography, but then the serif text, whereas he thinks the church text fits better. Right. I think I agree.
I think I might do as well.
I think that might be what's throwing it off. So perhaps more of a sans serif font for Moon Tower.
Just a little bit more,
I feel like it could be, I like the serif because it like everyone uses sans serif now. I kind of actually like the Moon Tower type. I just wonder if maybe you find something that is not as high contrast. The reason the church and the icon work together is because they're both mono weight or appear to be mono weight. So maybe the Moon Tower type, you can find something that is similar to that but isn't as high contrast, like between the thick and the thins. Might balance it out a little bit more.
Yeah, again, my eye is getting pulled towards that really thin vertical on the M on the left-hand side.
Yeah.
It's just pulling my eye quite a lot over to the left-hand side of the logo.
I think you nailed it. That's what it was. I said there was a little something. It was the disparity between the thick and thin. And like you say, the rest is so consistent in terms of that mono weight.
So looking at an alternative typeface would be good.
Yeah, but great work.
Cool. Yeah, it is. Really good work. But
Jared just said the audience is UT campus students, wanted a combination logo. Great feedback, guys. It's hard not being able to show more context.
Of course.
Cool.
Yeah, and it's a great logo. It's just
it's super close.
It is.
I kept thinking as well,
I'd
love to potentially see some color in the text, maybe like pulling the icon
color
into the word church and just like seeing different alternates like that, because it seemed so high contrast, that black. I almost felt like I was looking at like a black and white version of the logo, but you'd left the color part on the icon.
And it's interesting. Miguel's actually saying that he actually shows his design work to his girlfriend, who isn't a designer, to get the sort of the general public's perspective. And I've never been afraid to show my design work to people who aren't designers, because actually everybody's got a good, subjective view of design.
Yeah.
Typically the client
so there can be good feedback.
Miguel, though, I can see in your comment, whatever you do not refer to her perspective as simplistic perspective to her face, because you will get in trouble, man.
Hopefully she won't watch this.
Yeah. Well, another thing that's important is whenever I'm doing logo, usually while I'm thinking about color, it's like one of the last things that I do. It's almost always in black and white for 75% of the actual process.
Yeah. And then you look at color palettes.
Because if it doesn't work in black and white, then it's not going to work in color. So
good feedback. That it's almost like you could do this for a living, but
someone's been paying. I don't know. Someone's been paying me to do it for years now. So I don't know why.
What do we reckon? Have we got time for one more? Because I can see Uncle Avi says, "Can I also be included? I can take every hard truth you will throw at me. I'm badass that way." Have we got time for Uncle Avi?
For sure.
Cool. Awesome. Yeah. Comment away then.
This is great.
Let's see what you got for us. It's really helpful as well to have like multiple people taking a look.
Here we go.
If you're able to share, Bob, that would be amazing, please. I bet you didn't think you'd be doing this when you jumped.
Like I said, I'm just here for the ride, so just making it up as we go.
It's all right. You can send everyone the various invoices afterwards. Okay, so the target audience is beard oil company inspired by Viking culture.
Nice.
I was hoping it was something to do with Vikings, since the ship is in the background.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think the type is great.
Yeah.
And the mark seems, there's some spacing, some small spacing inconsistencies. It throws me off a little bit that the outer container and then the kind of S mark in the middle are a different weight.
Yeah,
that's I feel like it's similar to the type, like maybe they should be closer. And then my biggest thing is I would just take some of the cues from the actual type and apply that to the actual mark. The mark seems like a little
it's a bit different.
Just with the rounded terminals. I feel like if you could bring some of that flavor that's in the type to the mark, it would just not only help, it would tie everything together.
I think that's awesome. Yeah, bang on.
Yeah, I actually don't have that much to add.
No, I don't have anything to add to that, Bob. That's just out of the park. Totally.
And I really like the type though.
Yeah, I do as well. It's really lovely, isn't it?
Yeah, it's cool. I mean,
great.
I think you're right. They pull the character of the type into the icon more, because right now, if you cover that type with your finger, then the icon could almost be for like, I don't know, a health club.
Yeah,
locally.
It hasn't got that Viking kind of feel.
Like when I cover it, it looks to me like a pair of legs running in a circle or something.
Hasn't got the angularity of, is that even a word? But that kind of sharpness and the kind of Viking sword thing going on.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. And you might look at somehow closing this in somehow, like even if it's like this comes around, or if there's another portion of the circle that breaks in there, but maybe taking a look at how maybe that could all like close in.
Yeah, loving it though.
Yeah,
really loving
awesome.
it. Yeah, brilliant.
Yeah, we got some talented people on the call,
haven't we though? Awesome work.
And that wasn't too brutal, right, Uncle Avi? Bob, do you mind maybe sharing the packaging example? And Uncle Avi says that was mine.
Yeah.
Thanks, Uncle Avi.
We should have been meaner.
Yeah. Work up to it.
Yeah, whatever this packaging is, when we open it in a sec, just be like, what is this?
Oh, nice. Oh, man, I love a good wax stamp.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Cool. Love seeing like
what's funny is it feels like when it's stitched on there, it feels less like, it feels a little bit more like they belong because of the
more
actual,
doesn't it?
And it feels high end.
A little bit. Yeah.
I actually think no matter what we say about the logo, the other. Have you still got the logo?
It
mock-up
feels kind of
open?
Celtic, the logo.
Yeah.
From the way it flows around.
So like, I love the feel of this, and the mock-up's really cool. Something about this, the background feels slightly cheap, and also I don't like how the logo isn't centered.
Oh, right.
I know it's going over the flag or the sail rather. I don't know. I'd love to see the logo centered, and maybe something about the green. Like it feels a bit cheap compared to the one we just saw.
Yeah, the mock-up looks great.
Yeah.
Yeah. Things often look so much they look inherently better, don't they, in mock-up? Once you can get
I mean, that just makes me wish I could grow a beard, just so I can oil it up with this stuff.
Yeah. I can't grow a beard either.
Right.
Yeah. 10 years time.
Yeah.
Oh wow, he said that wasn't a mock-up. That's a real life photo.
Yeah,
wow.
it looks real.
Damn.
Cool, man.
Yeah, it looks great, like stitched
Yeah, it
on
looks really great, doesn't it? And it does look better in real life.
Nice.
So you can disregard anything we said because it's already produced.
That's it. And it looks great. So
Yeah, no, great job.
yeah.
Perfect, Bob. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you, Bob.
Are there any closing thoughts that you would love to leave people with today?
Oh man.
And
if not, don't worry, because I got some summary bullet points of the value bombs you dropped today.
Yeah, and I'd just like to say thank you, because that was brilliant, really good, really
you guys.
insightful and interesting, and just really
It's
enjoyed
hard to believe
it.
it's hard to believe it's been an hour already.
I know. Yeah, it's good, isn't it? It's
Time
a time warp.
Yeah.
Oh, Miguel says, I'm really happy I joined this live stream. This is really great, guys.
Oh, thanks,
Bob
Miguel.
is giving such great insight. I was already quite a big fan of him and his work. Now
Absolutely.
even more. Look at that. You've got a true fan.
Yeah,
Now.
I appreciate everyone coming out and hanging out.
Yeah.
Listen to us babble on for an hour. So
It's been fun.
Yeah, look at that. Troy says, yeah, this was definitely cool and different from the normal live streams. Really fun hour, Uncle Abby says. Opportunity to meet one of my lettering idols.
Cool.
Oh, look at that. Appreciate you guys. The time flew by, Deborah says. And Jackie says how helpful and informative it was. Thank you, guys. Really great to see this feedback.
Yeah.
All right, Bob, I'm going to go through some of your value bombs from today. It's because I was taking a few notes. So attend conferences because they're very worthwhile.
Yep.
Try and find a mentor.
Just one caveat to that. I've been to Max. I've never been to HOW conference. Those are different conferences. You know, you're talking about 15,000 people. There's so many good small conferences. Creative South, Creative Works. I'm TopCon is in Chattanooga. What's the other one that I'm thinking of? Crop is amazing. So many out there.
Go there next year.
Brand new conference. Circles. There's so many well-run conferences. There's one close to you. You can find one any time of the year. But yeah, go with some friends, or don't go with anyone and just go there and meet some friends.
It's good fun.
Yeah. Good advice. As well, you were saying the benefits of finding a mentor, and even if it's not a full-time mentor, just someone who you respect, if they're willing to give some feedback on your work, like you have today very kindly. Give back as well, and that can be tied into finding a mentor. You know, you're not cold approaching them, you're actually trying to support them and be part of their community beforehand, so they got context on you. Collaborate with other people, as you've done with your many side hustles, is one of the best things about the design community. So do reach out and, you know, try and make friends and actually produce work together, maybe create some little side hustles or passion projects. And then finally, just balance seemed to be like a common thread through some of your feedback on people's work. Just try and find those consistent bits of balance throughout.
Yeah. That's awesome. Did I say all those things?
Yeah, it's all down here.
You're a wise man.
Then we did good.
Yeah.
Awesome. Everyone in the office, let's give it up for Bob. That was awesome.
Awesome. Thank you, Bob.
Thank you.
Let's give it up in the comments, guys. Thank you so much for your time.
Yeah, thank you. Brilliant.
Really appreciate it. I hope everyone enjoyed it. And as always, we will see you same time next week.
Looking forward to the next one.
week, do we know?
Taylor Cunningham.
Is it really? Oh, cool. Tila Cunningham from Every Tuesday. Super lovely, talented lady. So definitely come back next week. But Bob, thank you so much for your time.
Thanks, Bob.
Everyone go follow Bob on
Cheers.
Instagram below this video. We'll talk to you soon, Bob.
See you.
All right,
Thank
take
you,
care.
guys.
Bye.
Bye.